Welcome back to Tashi's World of Books, and welcome to another book recommendation video. Welcome back. So today I thought that I went through some of my previous videos and I looked at things that you guys have really liked that I did, and I did a video a while ago on love triangles. And so I'm like, you know what? I've got some new love triangles that I thought were absolutely amazing that I want to share with you guys. So this is going to be part 2 of love triangles. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right. So you guys, these are books that I have read recently. They all involve love triangles, different variations of love triangles. And I'm not going to say, if you haven't read any of them, I'm not going to say whether they're a menage or whether they are true love triangles or whether somebody winds up with one versus the other or whether they wind up with no one. Like, let's just keep it really interesting, right? So they are in no order whatsoever. I absolutely love every one of these books. I would say that every book that I have on this list is a 5-star for sure. And I have 6 books to recommend today. And for those of you who have been following me and watching my channel, it's not going to be a surprise because I've talked about these books before, but I don't think that you're going to mind if I bring them up again. Okay, so let's start with, in no particular order, The Heir. And I just read this, and this is by Sophie Lark, and I have talked about this before, and so let me say, like, just really briefly a rundown. This is like the Hogwarts Academy for this world, in that all the kids that go to this academy, the Kingmaker Academy, families come from a syndicate of crime, whether it be the Russian Bratva, whether it be the Italian mafiosa, whether it be the Irish, whether it be the Polish, whether it be French, like the Yakuza, everybody is here. This book was originally going to be called, I think, The Freshman, and the reason they were going to call it The Freshman is because it was about the first incoming class that we're being introduced in this world, but ultimately it was called The Heir because everyone in this class, there are like 8 heirs in this class and they're all together. Okay, so if you've read the Brutal Birthright series, you know that there's an ongoing rivalry between the Yennens and the Gallo family because some things went down between a brother and sister who are twins and the Gallo family. And it was based on a blood feud from generations, I'll say that. So when they get to the university, they are forced proximity to be together. They are also in the same class, the Heir, and they are cousins. So you've got Dean, who is on the, and Dean is part of the Yennen side, I believe. Yes, Dean is part of the Yennen side, and Leo is a Gallo. So the Yennen, it was twins. One sister had Leo, one brother had Dean. They're cousins. And the love interest is a Walkins. A Walkin? The love interest is a Walkin, and her name is Anna. And she has been raised with Leo her entire life. And because they were raised together, right, they never really thought of each other, but really did. They never thought of each other on the outset. Like, everybody just put them together and said you're cousins, so then it seemed like it was a forbidden love. But they've always harbored feelings for one another. And so as a result, Leo never really acted on the feelings that he had for Anna. And so when they get to university, then Dean is going to step in. And Dean is like, not my fault that that he wasted or squandered the opportunity that he had, right? But I'm not going to waste and squander it. And so this book is a true love triangle, and I love it. It's angsty, it's frustrating, you get angry at the characters. You, as the reader, see what's going on, but the characters that are living it don't see what's going on. And as you're reading this, you're like, oh my God, don't do that. Oh, you just see so much of what's happening and unfolding in front of you, and you just want to jump in and just wring people's necks and share information with people, but it has to play out, and you are there every moment, with every page turn. It is beautiful. You're just there for it. And it's so angsty, and it's so good, and it's so riveting that I absolutely loved it, and it had to go on this list of love triangles. So if you haven't checked out Sophie Lark, the heir. You probably should read the Brutal Birthright series first so you know what's going on, because there is definitely a backstory, so you will understand why there is so much of a rivalry, and you will understand so much of why these characters interact the way that they do, and who they are in relation to one another, because that all is really important to build up this story. But I'm recommending the heir. The next book in the series, the next book that I'm going to recommend to you is Sea of Ruin by Pam Godwin. This is a dark romance. It is a historical dark pirate romance. And wow, this story is so, so good. I'm going to recommend that you read The Libertine. It's a short novella, and it occurs between chapters 5 and 6 of this book, and I suggest that you read it in relation to this because it helps to fold out the story. There are two main interests. The main character in this story is Bennett Sharp, and Bennett Sharp is the daughter of an aristocrat, and her mother fell in love with a pirate, and because she is part of the gentry, this was not acceptable, and she fell pregnant, and as a result moved to the colonies and raised Bennett in the Carolinas. And so Bennett grows up interacting with this pirate figure, who you don't know who he is, but when she turns, I think she's about 14 years old, her mother is getting ready to force her into a marriage contract, and some things happen. And as a result, she leaves. And when she leaves, she then becomes the pirateer. She becomes the head mistress of her own ship. And whilst she's on this ship, she meets two characters, and there is a love triangle that ensues. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know how it's going to work out. This is a heavy romance. It is a dark romance. A lot of things happen in here. There is dubious consent. There's rape that occurs in here. And it is frustrating. It is exhilarating. It is exciting. It is sad. It's beautiful. It's all these things. If all historical romances were written like this, I would dive in a heartbeat, because I absolutely loved this book for so many reasons. You know, because you don't know what's going to happen. You're equally frustrated. You're mad at Bennett. You're mad at the other characters that occur, that, you know, that go down in here. And I can't remember. It's Ashley and Priest. Those are the other characters that she's in a love triangle with, and it is just, wow, it is just amazing. But you do need to read The Sons of Libertine, because you're gonna understand better. And like I said, it occurs between chapters 5 and 6. So read this, pause at the end of 5, read The Sons of Libertine, come back to this, and it'll all like come into play, and you'll have a better reading experience, I feel like. But again, this is like the crescendo of like love triangles. Super good. Then I'm going to talk about Tillie Cole, It Ain't Me, Babe. This is another dark romance. This is a mafia romance. This is also a cult. The gals in this story come from a cult. So Salome is, so how it works out is that River is on a run with his dad. They are going to their dumping ground where they dump bodies, basically. This is dark romance, right? Where they dump bodies, and he comes upon this chick that is dressed in like really old style clothing. He's like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, something's not right with her. She's got blood on her. She's very distressed. She's crying, but River Styx doesn't speak. And so they're trying to communicate with one another, but he is just taken by her because she's got these wolf eyes, and he just is really taken by her. And so as a result, some things happen. They're separated. He doesn't see her. There's a time jump. He doesn't see her for years and years. And she's behind, because she's behind this fence. So clearly she's locked in, and there's no way for her to get out. And it's like they call it a meeting that should have never happened, but it did. And he never forgot about her. Moving forward, River Styx, he is now the MC president. He meets Salome through a series of successive events. And as a result, they are trying to figure out, how she escaped from this cult, and they're trying to acclimate her into the current life that they live. And River is attracted to Salome, but he is like, no, I can't do this. I'm not getting involved with you. And so he pushes her towards Ryder. And Ryder comes from a Christian background and has always been a little bit different than the MC that he has been a part of. And so as a result, Salome and Ryder get really close. And River Styx Nash is really torn up by this and sees what's going on, but he also has a, you know, it's not an old lady, but he has a chick that he kind of hangs out with that's part of the MC that he's been with and has been his constant, and it is just a four-way, three-way triangle, and you are just like, is Salome gonna wind up with River? Is she gonna wind up with Ryder? Like, what's gonna happen here? How is this all gonna play out? And this series, I feel like, is one of Tillie Cole's best series. It is absolutely amazing. This is like, I love this. I will always go back to this. She is currently still writing in the series. I can't wait until the next book comes out. I'm so waiting for it, but this series delivers in so many ways. One of my favorite characters in this series is Maddie and Flame. Maddie and Flame are just next level amazing. And the arc and the development of all the characters in this story is just absolutely phenomenal. And there is each book ends in an HEA, but there's an ongoing storyline and a subplot that goes on throughout. And so you see these characters develop later on. And so many of these characters have a second book later in the series where you see the ultimate development of them, but you've seen them throughout, but you ultimately see what happens with them later, and it's just phenomenal and amazing, and I absolutely love it and can't recommend it enough. It Ain't Me, Babe by Tillie Cole. Also, I recently finished Kate Stewart's Flock. Again, this is one of my favorite stories, really, really good. So the main characters in here are Cecilia, Sean, and Dominic. And man, this is a love triangle like no other. And it is got several twists and turns. And Cecilia has come to town. She's new in town. She meets Sean they work together, and Sean has recently returned to town. He takes her to a party. They're at a party where she meets the rest of the cast of characters like Tyler and Dominic and other people that are clearly part of some kind of a gang because they all have the same tattoo. The story unfolds from there. Her and Sean hit it off tremendously. Things are going well. Dominic hates her. And through a series of successive events, she is attracted to Dominic. Dominic pushes all her buttons. And we see what happens with Dominic and Sean and where things go and what she ultimately decides. This book ends on a wow cliffhanger. We need to continue on with the series. And as you read all of the books in the series, it ends in a place where you never thought it would be, but it takes you on twists and turns and rides all the way. Very exciting, dark romance, gives you all the feels, multiple cast of characters, connected group of people working towards a crime syndicate, you know, involved in a lot of different nefarious dealings that you are just like, what's going on? How's that happening? So it definitely is suspense, and it gives you everything and then some. So if you haven't checked out Kate Stewart's Flock or the Ravenhood series, then you should. The next book that I want to recommend is not for everybody. This is The Red Market. This is a bind up of two books, and it's The Goodbye Man and what's the second book? It's The Goodbye Man and The Goodbye Girl. So it's a bind up of The Goodbye Man and The Goodbye Girl, and it's put together in The Red Market. And I'm going to tell you that this book is not for everybody. This is about the black market organ trade deal. Okay, and the main characters in this are Caesar, Matea, and Svetlana. And this book, when I say it's hard to read, it is hard to read. Especially Svetlana's story, because she goes through so much. She is Russian, and she's part of the Russian Bratva, her father is, but he is a terrible human being. And there is rape, there is dubious consent, there is some freaky kind of fetish stuff in here. There's a lot of stuff, but the story is very interesting and fascinating, and I saw it through. This is the only book that I've ever read that I woke up in the middle of the night. My husband woke me up and said, "You are having a nightmare." I had a nightmare around this book. but I loved it nonetheless. I gave it a 5-star. There's definitely a love triangle here. The story ends in a way that you never suspect, and it does end in an HEA, but it is in a very twisted, different kind of place. You have to read it through. You can't read beginning and say quit and DNF it. You got to see it through. Read the entire book, and then at the end, formulate an opinion about how you feel about it, because it is going to push you. It is going to push your beliefs. It's going to push everything that you think, but it's fascinating nonetheless, and it's a very, very interesting story. It pulls in sort of, you know, because they deal in the black market and they deal in organ trade, but they also are dealing with some of the cartels. It also deals significantly with mental illness, okay? And it addresses it head on, and OCD and being on the spectrum. It also deals with particular types of fetish. It also deals with PTSD and trauma, and how trauma of your past impacts you now, and how it colors the decisions and the choices, and even your sexual interests. Everything it's addressed here. It's heavy duty. I'm warning you now, check out the trigger warnings, but it is well worth it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, even though it freaked me out in some ways, but it is a book that I will never forget. And I probably will read it again, because, you know, when you read it through the second time, like, you take away different things. But nonetheless, like, I read it in like so fast, because I was like, wow, wow, wow. When I say interesting, like, it just is so fascinating, but it's so hard and so frustrating, and it's very different, a different type of hard than other books that I've talked about that are difficult to read, that are dark romances. So know that this is not for the faint of heart, and you've got to be prepared when you go into it if you're going to check it out, but I do recommend it. Okay, so the last book that I am going to recommend is Even If It Hurts by Marni Mann. This book tore my heart out. Tore it out. There's no other way to say it. Just tore it out. I sobbed, because there's no good way to resolve this. There just isn't. This is about Oliver, Lance, and Chloe. And it's about love, tremendous love, okay? Tremendous love. And what happens to you, and what do you do if the person whom you loved tremendously and didn't separate from for any other reason other than proximity returns and is in your life? What happens? What do you do? And when I say that this is, I want to put this at one of my all-time favorite, like, even when I think about it, like, it chokes me up, because it's so intense. Because what do you do if, it's almost like if you're in love, for example, if you're in love, right? Absolute, the love of your life, and that person dies, right? It's not based on choice, right? There's nothing that you can do about that. You're never going to stop loving that person. You're always going to love them. But imagine if you had that same type of love, and the only reason why you separated is because of proximity, because of location, right? And they come back into your life. What do you do, and what happens? And when I say that this brings up some emotion, like, so much, like, I probably would put this at my top, but because I just sobbed so much that I was like, how can I like a book that much that makes me cry? Like, I want to walk away happy, damn it. And I did not walk away happy. I walked away like all fucked up. But it was really good. Really, really good. Like, it sounds twisted when I say that, but it was really good. I probably will go and read another Marni Mann, but I haven't, just for the reason of, like, I don't want to go into romance. I want to be happy. I don't want to come out of a romance like all jacked up. Like, I don't want to come out like red nose, red face. My husband was like, what the hell is wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know. It's so sad. But it was good. It was good. So these are the kind of things, like this book, Tillie Cole's 1,000 Boy Kisses, you need to be prepared when you go into them that you're going to walk away. Just like I said, like, you need to be prepared when you read this that it's twisted. Like, okay, it's twisted, and that's okay. These kind of books, 1,000 Boy Kisses, this one, Forbidden by Tabitha Sussman, you just need to know, what's the other one? The one, A Little Life by Yana Yanagihara. Those books are going to strip you. They're just going to strip you. And that's okay, right? But we just need to know it going in so you're prepared and you don't think it's going to be one thing and then it turns out to be something totally different. So having said that, if you want to do it, even if it hurts, even if it hurts, you got to do it. You got to do it because it's so, so good. So I hope this was helpful. I feel like I was all over the place, but those are for sure 5-star reads. They are absolutely phenomenal. I think that if you trust me and you check them out, you will not be disappointed. And many of you, we all read the same thing, so you may have read them. If you haven't, if you've read them, tell me what you think in the comments. Am I right? Are they like great love triangles? Or if you have other love triangle recommendations, please share with me because I would love to add it to my TBR because I think that this will be another video that I will do in the future and I want to share that with you as well. So you guys know I upload new videos 3 times a week, preferably Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Please like and subscribe. It helps me with the algorithm. I'd love for you guys to come and check out more of my videos and hang out with me more. I'm so grateful for all the support that you guys are giving me. I love coming on here and chatting and sharing my thoughts with you, and it seems like you guys are enjoying watching, so thank you so much. Happy holiday, guys, and I will see you in my next video.